Okay, well, welcome back. Life has started to get a little bit more interesting, as you can see by the angle of the boat behind me. People asking me to do a little kind of intro as to where we are, what we're doing. I think we can do that here. Alright, so we're just doing between 11 and 13 knots. You can see where we are here, arcing towards the UK. This is our weather pattern as it is at the moment, and this is moving forwards. What's going to happen? That's Sunday night going through to Monday morning. And now that's interesting, that lower route there is actually not the one I'm going to take. Let me just stop that for a second. That's the predict winds version of GFS. In the last couple of days I've seen that the predict winds version of the European Centre for Medium Range Weather Forecasting is better. So if we play that out, I'm taking this route here. See the boat? On the other go round, it was on the lower blue route, which is, if that model's working, it's saying go that way. As this model seems to be working, I'm going to go that way. Okay, and then that, obviously, just a few things to do before we get to the UK. So I hope that you can see that on the reproduction here. I guess the other one we could say is that I have built into the Navionics, because I only use the Navionics to kind of like keep me updated like moment to moment. Whereas the boat thing is still being done by the B&G chart plotter down the back, and also by my phone, and like probably the fridge can do it, I don't know, these days. So what I've done is just put a very basic arc in the course, and that gives us an idea of the difference between the straight line, the rum line that Navionics wants to show, and the Great Circle route, which is the actual fastest way of getting there. So we get on the back here. Alright, so if we look at this chart plotter in here, this is the standard setting that I have for chart plotters always. This side on the left is zoomed in so that I can see the track. That's not very important to me, but the track. But the track on these Raymarine ones indicates that you're at a zoom level where you can also see AIS. If you zoom out like that, you can't see your AIS contacts. There are no AIS contacts around us at the moment. So I want to be able to see the boat and its track at all times on one side, and that probably means you're at quite a good zoom level as well. You can actually see details. And on the other side, I keep the big picture. This little dots down here is the Azores, and if we drag this guy over here, we can see England. Now that kind of sawtooth looking line is multiple short legs taking us down the Great Circle route into the UK. So as we stand now, if I go to menu, I go to settings, I go to navigation, and then at the top it says method, and at the moment we're on Great Circle. If we change that to rum line, okay, and then go back from there out to our chart, the distance to the waypoint is 1,460 miles if we draw a straight line on a chart. Okay, we go back again to menu, settings, navigation, change this back to Great Circle, it will be shorter, right? We go back out of there, X, 1,447 miles. It's not a huge difference, but it is meaningful over distances like things like the Newport Bermuda race, something like that. That kind of distance there where you're looking for every tiny little mile here and there, knowing whether you're doing a Great Circle or a rum line can become very important. So enough of looking at screens. What's it look like on deck? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a look around on deck, and then the camera will be covered in water and there'll be no way to come down here easily. So I'm going to show you a little repair that I did on the rudder stock a couple days ago. Well, actually on the Autopilot's control arm on the rudder stock. I thought there was some interesting little notes here, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk about what's going on with the fastener. It's good news. All right, just have to be careful in every movement all the time, right? One hand for yourself and one hand for the boat, and one hand for YouTube. Oh, baby! really windy. All right, let's have a look at that repair in the lazarette. Jesus, who would want to go up there? And welcome back. Okay, so we are here inside the lazarette of the boat, and we can have a look. So yesterday I showed you those dirty bilges, which are now clean, although we do have another problem. So I thought today I'd show you the dirty lazarette, but it's all on the way up, so it should be good. Here we go at the back of the boat. This is the boat's carbon fiber rudder shaft here. God, my brain's like in neutral. Between holding the camera, lighting the thing, trying to fix the job, there's an autopilot action going on with a sail tie on deck. My brain's addled. This is the rudder stock. And we also get the benefit of having a look out through the bottom of the boat on this kind of boat. Have a see at this. What can you see? You can probably see more than I normally can. There we go. Rudder stock here, obviously pretty massive. Top bearing up here. Looks like it's had a bit of work to reinforce. We've got this giant carbon clamp, which is what we're going to be looking at. And then this massive dome down here. This is what takes the loads from the, imagine the huge sideways loads on this rudder when the boat's sailing. This entire thing is built up out of Kevlar to give this JP3 bearing in here an adequate kind of like support so it can do what it needs to do. This rudder, remember, is 8 foot going down under the boat. So the clamp today is what we're looking at. The issue, you see the autopilot gear back there. We can kind of get into that a bit later on. I can't just go diving around. Somebody said the other day, they said it doesn't have like a kind of influencer vibe. No, I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to fix shit at the same time. So we're not going to do like long lingering shots at the side of it. The autopilot's over there. It connects onto a big clamp here. Big metal pin, as you can see. The issue, can you see all this dust and crap? It's been kind of building up for a while. But this morning I started getting errors from the autopilot where it says drive stopped, and that means that the rudder reference indicator, which is here, something is either slipping here or indeed some part of the system has got slack where the autopilot thinks, hey, I thought I put 5 degrees of rudder on, but we're not turning very quickly. And then a couple seconds later, oh, I thought I took that 5 degrees off, we haven't changed course. It's recognizing that there's slop in the system. And the slop is from this bracket. The bracket has been formed to the rudder shaft, brilliant, great carbon work, but like a key ingredient has been missed. You can't have a shiny carbon hard form like this up against a shiny hard form like this and expect the two to just stay together when there's a kind of tapering quality to what's going on here. Now, the autopilot ram over there does have a universal joint, or not a universal joint, but a joint on the end of it. Maybe I will try and get a shot so it's a bit clearer. But it has a joint which allows a certain amount of up and down movement on the ram in operation, but it's starting to get towards the top of what it can do. And it's actually the tension of that joint which is stopping this from going any further up. So I'm now going to strip this off, drop it back down into the proper level plane, and get something like rubber, like a rubber sheet inside here, and then re-clamp onto that, because the forces, there's nothing really like trying to make it move up and down, but if it starts to slip up and down, that's a big problem. Oh, there you go, 9 knots. I will say this, having that fixed propeller going round and round and round all the time, I know what speed the boat's doing. Can you hear that noise? Of course you can, right? Oh, we're going faster now. So maybe the propeller going around has like its benefits. I'll tell you what, right now, I wish I didn't have to keep charging. If that propeller was running an alternator, we'd have power. There used to be an old system on MLs, ML50s had the Super Maroos, what they were called, where you'd have drive from the drive shaft. You'd have drive to an alternator from the prop shaft, which gave you power all the time. If anybody's ever run power from their prop shaft turning, I'd love to get some feedback. I'm really thinking of doing it, because with a max prop, you can set the prop to be, driven, and then just quick burst forward on the engine and it goes back to a feathered position, so you can kind of pick and choose. But like at these speeds now, where we're 10, 11 knots most of the time, I can get huge power off the prop shaft, and it does not slow the boat down at all. So anyway, I should stop talking and probably get on with the fucking work. Let's have a look at the autopilot before we go. This is the autopilot, like the mechanical clever autopilot. Oh, this is what's going on deck. How's it going, Otto? Yeah, Otto, the sail tie there, doing a great job. I do quite like this position, and I would say when you've got a main sheet traveller, which is potentially this dangerous if there's something going on in the back of the boat, to be able to come through the boat and come up through here and get on deck, and this be a proper organised way of doing it and not as difficult like to move your body through, would be very, very good. Mainsail slowly falling apart, also damaged the reef line. I'll be very glad when all that lot gets taken off the boat. What I did do is contact the original owner of that sail, which is Dominic Wave, very, very famous French sailor, whipbread sailor, Vendée Globe sailor. And I said to him, hey, your 25-year-old mainsail's saving me here. He was very surprised. I think we'll cut a bit off and send it back to him. He can enjoy that memory. Okay, so weather's good. There's no ships within 100 miles of us at the moment, so I can relax a bit. And even if we crash tack or crash jibe, it's going to be very light. You know, another way of dealing with this would be just to hove to. So, okay. All right, how's that? I figured like I've actually got to like get better at showing you all the different things that are going on here in some kind of clarity. We have done a lot of work to make sure that all of the filming gear and lighting and everything else is good. Okay, so I've got a few bits and bobs apart here. We've got much better lighting now here. That's for you, not for me. I would just have my head torch on, but it is nicer. I don't think there's been much light in the lazarette since it was built. We'll go around and have a look at the autopilot system a bit more in a second, but we can see now the carbon shells that have come off the side of the quadrant. I would normally pull the pin out of the rose joint back there, but it's seized in, so I've done a new thing. You've got to watch your carbon because it's electrically like viable, right? So you can have galvanic action through the carbon, which is why you'll often get like rusting around carbon components, which is not the carbon itself is having any kind of an issue, but it's allowing the flow of electrons between dissimilar metals. Now, I'm going to get my glove back on. When you're dealing with carbon, you know, it's going to get itchy and nasty if you don't keep yourself covered up. So, I've got myself, I will go and get from where I've forgotten to have it. Hang on. Alright, so we've got ourselves, I always have, this has not actually got Lysol in it at the moment, it's just a squirty bottle that's got dishwashing, washing up liquid and water in it. And there's a couple of these all around the boat because so many issues on the boat are caused by having a slippery, slidey, nasty workspace that's super dangerous for you as a sailor. So grabbing one of these and just getting things cleaned off becomes quite a simple game. I think I've just made myself like a paint, dust, composite here. We get all this crap out of the way, mainly because it's super slippery, right? We don't want this area to be slippery at all. We want to get this cleaned up, and then we'll get something like rubber in here, something like that. I think we've got a little bit of carbon there. I think the black actually might be the more like the primer, but I can see exposed carbon, so we've got stuff to do. Now, going forward, do we want to improve on what we're doing here? Absolutely. You can only open up these jobs one by one, and you can't beat yourself up for the fact that you can't get on top of the wall immediately, instantly. I think that's the thing for me. I always feel like the boat's not good enough. It is good enough. It's just they're always in the process of being rebuilt. Alright, so here's what I think is going to be our savior. It's just that stuff that comes from the lining of drawers, right? But it seems like it's designed to be grippy. You want grippy. Working plan here. Got some soup spray, 77. We've got a pretty good lay in here. I don't think I'm going to necessarily bring it up into these flanged areas because I think they are intended to be like in contact with each other. So I'm just going to trim it off there. But yeah, we'll get these two shells made up like this, and then when it goes back on, it should clamp and stay at the height that it's meant to be at. You don't have to have too much. I remember when I very first got the Open 60 that I took around the world, Spartan. She was the old Grey Power. She was Sir Robin Knox-Johnston's boat. And he took me on board and he showed me around and he started up the Volvo engine and he was telling me how reliable it had been for him and what a commodity it was on the boat, which I totally agreed with him. Brilliant all around the world for me as well. But as it started up, because the boat hadn't been run for a while, the batteries were low and the alternator belt started squealing. And as he chatted, he obviously went into a kind of like a remembered action set, and he just reached for a can that was there by the side of the engine and sprayed it onto the belts. Probably, let's say he thought it was belt dressing, but I think perhaps he thought it was WD-40. But we both suddenly realised it was spray adhesive. So just first moment I got on the boat, the first job I had to do was get spray adhesive off the pulleys and the the belts on the back of the engine. But all right, we'll let that lay up a little bit and we'll trim off the excess. I'll do the other one on there. I've got some tape to kind of hold it on. I say I can't get this off right now, but I've got penetrating oil in there, so it'll free up the pin later. And then we'll come back when this is cleaned up, clamp it back together, and then, well, we've got the Autopilot available, but obviously little Otto, the sail tie, is doing a great job out there. So we'll move to something more important. Okay, the list. So we've got three more people. Three more people are in. We're looking for them to square that away on the Monday. We've still got 4 places left. So training starts on the 21st of July in Southampton. The sponsorship amount is $3,000. What that gets you, I have life jackets, we have AIS beacons, the food on board, the dockage, the diesel, I always used to say, and the damage. Like, I take responsibility for that. But those amounts coming in, we'll be able to finish paying off our mainsail. We're about $14,000 shy at the moment. So it's also not just the Fastnet. If you want to do the Caribbean 600 or the Middle Sea Race in Malta, which I'm personally looking forward to, or indeed the Newport Bermuda in 2026, all of those are the sponsor events I'm going to do. And then the rest of the time I'm just training, doing this kind of media and training for the Westabout Around the World event, which is 2026 for me, and the Global Solo Challenge, which you see on their website. I'm fully signed up for, paid in $10,000, ready to go for the Global Solo Challenge. So we got a lot of sailing to do. We have an amazing machine here in Osprey, and with your help we can do it, because the other thing is, bear in mind, I can't do the Fastnet without people, right? So we're kind of, it's like a community thing. I'll give you the boat, I'll give you 5 days of training, I'll give you my 100%, 30 years of sail training. That's what I love doing. And in return, you be the crew, put some money in the pot, and then I'll go and do the stuff that makes this content so you can keep learning even when you're back at home. So click on things, like, share, subscribe. Those things then feed back through the system and I get paid, because that's where the money's coming from now. Your sponsorship gets stuff for the boat. I get money for my family from social media content. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting, whether it's big things like that or just clicking like and subscribe. And we can keep taking the beautiful Osprey on her, well, ever developing journeys. Speak to you in the next one. Cheers. All right. Alright, so we got that in. There's our squirty bottle. Here we go. So remember, the adhesive is all just holding the rubber onto the rudder stock, right? Did I say rudder shaft earlier? I think I did. Well, I only woke up about 2 minutes before we started this video, because the autopilot said drive stopped and everything went crazy. I don't know, I think that might be about right. That might be about right. I'm not even sure they're going to come together. Okay. That seems like it's lower than it was before, but I think that's been the problem. I think this thing's been jacked up at a funny angle over here, which has meant that we've got some possibility of damage in this bearing over here. So I'm going to go with that, I think. I'll get this tied up and see how it goes.